It's the Green Rush Nation podcast. I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hit so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on the 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got 5 shit, get up and leave. It's the Green Rush Nation podcast.
Yo, what's going on, guys? We're back with another episode of the Green Rush Nation podcast, the highest podcast in the world. Today, we're not in our usual set. We actually took a trip up to Sacramento to see our friend Josh from Sluggers. How's it going?
Good.
We appreciate you having us up here.
Thanks for having me.
It was a journey, but I'll say it was a beautiful ride. So
You took the, that's how we used to always roll, before flying. And
For sure.
The drive of 6.5 hour, the grapevine, the smell of the cows.
Yep.
That's real California. But, yeah, you were welcome to Sacramento.
I appreciate it. This is my first time up this way, so it's pretty, it's eye-opening for me. I thought California was just beaches and desert, you know?
A lot of people slept on Sacramento forever, but it's really a hotbed or it's a center of
Just pull it a little bit closer.
it's a center of a lot of cultivation and amazing companies. We really are stacked here in the city.
So are you from up here? Where are you from?
So originally I was born in Redwood City, which is in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Born and raised in that area. I went to lived in Millbrae and Hillsborough, which is they're all suburbs of SFO Airport kind of area, San Francisco. Went to San Mateo High School, which is over there. And if you would have asked me growing up if I was going to live in Sacramento, work in Sacramento, I would have been like, no way.
No shot.
Yeah, we used to come through on the way to Tahoe, very commercial, very industrial city. Nothing. We had this, we go to the state capitol. A lot of California kids go take trips to the state capitol and, see how that all goes. So we'd come through and whatnot. Or the Old Town. We have an Old Town here, which is, you get that vibe from the 1800s and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. Giants fan, Niners fan, Warriors fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And now I want to take you back a little bit because here on the Green Rush Nation podcast, we don't want to just know about your great business adventures and you and marijuana, but we want to know about you a little bit personally. So do you remember your first encounter? I know we talked about this a little bit before. You said you were pretty young. What was your first encounter with marijuana and how did you consume it? Do you remember?
Yeah, first time was with, I had a friend, Nathan and Lauren, and they all had big brothers, and siblings, and they had the flower and gave it to us, and we had a pipe, and I can remember even I had never smoked anything before, cigarette. So we're lighting the pipe first and trying to take a hit after, and it didn't work like that, and then I remember taking my first hit and I threw up.
Okay.
Because of the feeling of smoke and stuff like that, and those guys never let me live that down. I heard that for the rest of my life with those guys.
Hilarious.
But yeah, and then it evolved into it was a little pipe and then apples.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how long after that was it that you enjoyed it and you were just smoking every day?
Well, my parents aren't too happy about it, but it wasn't much longer. I would say 14, 15.
Okay.
We were regularly smoking.
So from 12 to 14, you kind of just dabbled in it.
Dabbled here and there.
That
it was tough to get. I didn't have any older siblings, so it had to come through friends, or we would literally take the train and the bus up to San Francisco, buy 20 sacks, which were 0.7s.
Okay.
From whoever on the street, and bring it back down. And
what was weed costing back in the day?
it was we were buying twomps, so it was a 20. They would say it was a
20
gram,
for a gram. Yeah, wow.
These guys were always putting 0.7, 0.8. You know what I mean?
Skim.
And sometimes there wouldn't be anything over grams, so you'd have to just buy multiples.
Yeah.
And then just eighths were 60.
Okay.
There was never $70 eighth.
Oh yeah. No.
In the Bay.
Definitely not.
In my crew, it wasn't happening.
Gotcha. Back when I was just starting to smoke, like you said, $20 grams, and I thought I was getting a deal. They're like, yeah, 2 for $30, bro. I got you. I'm like, oh, sick. Let me get that right now. Now I'm looking at that back in the day. I'm like, holy shit, we were getting ripped off. But you got to do what you got to do.
Whatever it took.
That was it.
Yeah.
And so did you ever think okay, this is going to be something that I'm going to pursue a career in, or it was just something you were doing as a hobby?
It was a hobby, but 1996, we had the Proposition 215 in California becoming part of the ballot, and of course Josh Schmidt, 16-year-old in high school. What project am I going to talk about in social studies? So I was that guy. Right?
Okay.
And I was the kid that, like, if people wanted to try it for the first time, they felt comfortable with me.
Of course.
The girls, the guys, I'm Josh, right?
What was your go-to? You just would smoke them up on a joint, or?
Yeah, at that time it was just flower joints. We couldn't really roll, so they'd have like pouch papers. You could like grind everything, put it in, rip the ends off. But it was a funny time. You couldn't go to a head shop and buy a pipe. You'd have to shoulder tap, to buy a pipe and stuff like that. So it was apples and computer paper and a lot. We went to concerts. We were big music fans, so we would I can remember being with my friends, with the mom driving, and
what kind of concerts were you going to?
Joint in my pocket, like
reeking up the car.
Kind of, and, I covered up a lot to like not smell. I was into like metal, rock, punk. I mean, my first shows were like Neil Diamond and New Kids on the Block with my mom. My mom's into concerts.
Dope.
But then I went with the friends, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, Faith No More, NoFX, Rancid, when a lot of the Green Day, when they were, a lot of those kind of.
Of course. And all those you were smoking at?
All those we were smoking.
Why not, right?
Yeah, all those we were always smoking.
That was my favorite shit. Like right when I first got into weed was right when I started going to concerts too. So it was like, oh, how are we gonna sneak this in? We're putting it in our shoe. Or at the time there was this self-lighting bowl. Oh yeah. But then we'd get to the door and they wouldn't even like search that crazy. So I'm like, they don't even give a fuck, man. Like, so then we just be in there smoking all day, and that was my favorite shit. Just running around. Yep.
Some festivals back in the day, they were like in the Bay Area. We always had really good festivals. So we'd have like Beastie Boys, I've seen Rage Against the Machine a bunch of times.
Okay.
Obviously Beastie Boys, Cypress Hill back in the day, like a lot of the big, like that are still relevant.
Definitely.
And still sell out shows.
For sure. And were you ever growing it, or did you start selling it when you were younger?
When I first had access to medical clinics, like the collectives, when I was like 19, I started like, getting some clones here and there. But I was like, when I went to Amsterdam for the first time when I was, 17, 18, I fell in love with I was already a fan of the culture, but saw the whole business aspect with like the seeds and the like there's like smart stuff over there with like shrooms and stuff like that. And they call it smart drugs, smart shops. And then I went to the Cannabis Cup. They would have High Times did Cannabis Cups in Amsterdam.
Okay.
I was there the year that they launched like the Volcano Vaporizer,
Sick.
like strains like MK Ultra. These guys THCs were dropping like Sage and Sour. MK Ultra, Bubble Man Marcus was like dropping the bubble bags. Mila was doing her pollinator bags that were the isolator bags.
Okay.
There was like the honey oil extractor guys were just coming out for the first time, and people were learning how to take butane and extract like that. And we were open blasting in the backyard, like things like that.
At least you were in the backyard.
Yeah, but when they were showing in 2000 in Amsterdam, like they were playing around indoor, you know what I mean? Like showing how it was working.
Crazy.
It's
I had a friend that did that in his basement. Like his parents were right upstairs, and I'm like, "You're out of your fucking mind." He's like, "No, you just got to be safe." I was like,
"I know. I can count with my hand, more than my hand, people that were doing that in their apartments where the pilot light literally exploded." Like,
I've actually reported on news on it. Like, it's no joke. You shouldn't be. Leave it to the professionals, man.
100%. 100%. That gave the industry a bad name.
For sure. Because that was the thing. Like, I didn't understand like the danger of it until I realized, holy shit, people are making this in their fucking basement, and that's why it's dangerous. Yeah. But also, it was not the cleanest product.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like, I can remember some of the goo we were like smoking at the beginning, and it was like soupy, like butane soup, we would call it. Yeah. And that could not have been healthy. Like in my day, I've definitely consumed a good amount of Eagle 20, mold, butane. Like I pray to God. That's why I'm trying to do a lot of like get my health right,
clean
like
stuff,
be clean. Everything I'm putting in from food and whatnot, I'm trying to like
be more conscious.
Yeah, because there was a good period of my life I wasn't.
Yeah. No, same here. And for a while, we didn't really have a choice in New York either, so I just smoked what I got, and especially when the wax came around, I kind of just had to trust. Like, they're like, nah, I promise, it's good shit. I'm like, all right, 100%. Cool.
Putting an orange peel, we used to put orange peel to like re-moisten bud and like give it a little citrus smell or something like that, but it's just, you're adding mold spore. It was all bad.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we didn't know shit, but hey, you got to live and learn, right? That's the only way.
100%.
So now let's get into like the business part a little bit. What was your first venture into cannabis?
First venture was with some two of my friends that I grew up with. We went to middle school together, and we figured out, we got our Prop 215, like letters from the doctors for medical. And then, you know, we started going to these collectives, and I would always have like 15 different, I loved having all the variety, right?
Okay.
But then we're going to Oakland, we're going to Hayward, we're going to San Francisco, because our area in the Bay never allowed medical collectives until like now there's recreational in Redwood City, South City, Daly City.
Okay.
Before it was our mission, like we'd have to go to San Francisco, to Hayward, to Oakland. So, or Mendo, Humboldt, Lake County, and so our mission was like to create something, like we would love to do it in the peninsula, but you know, we were going to all these shops. We had a good source for outdoor train wrecks.
Okay.
And like they were giving us to a good price, and we were bringing them to the clinics and vending to the collectives, because you know, back then you didn't even need a medical to bring product to sell to the collectives, because it was all about the best medicine for the people, right?
For sure.
However, whatever it took. So we like kind of saw like this shop was great, these guys were great, these guys sucked, and we're like, you know, and there was a list. NORML, you know, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, has a California division, and a gentleman, Dale Geringer, who was kind of running point on this list. And it was like a to Z from cities in California, regions, on collectives.
Okay.
And there was a big gap in LA. How many people live in LA? There was like 5 shops, and they would get raided and this and that. You'd hear about it, but there was like no one really doing these collectives. So we went down there, and we found a strip mall, and we basically built our own, you know, like little collective.
Okay.
Put our number got a business license for compassionate caregiving.
Beautiful.
Under Proposition 215 and Senate Bill 420. It was it's on Sherman Way and Van Nuys Boulevard. We called it THC Van Nuys. Okay. We put our name on the list. We set up a grow in Butte County. We grew 70 plants for the kind of section of our menu, because we wanted to have outdoor. There weren't really depths back then, so it was kind of like outdoor or indoor. Okay. But we wanted to have this big menu, and you know, part of that first menu was product from our farm. So a good segment was that, and then just literally me. The other guys were more on the like supply chain side, and you know, just kind of behind the scenes. Okay. I was the bud tender.
You were there every day?
The beginning, like we had a room that was like dirty laundry. Wow. We grinded so hard. We had no money, nothing, no parents support, parental support, none of that. Like they were not with it.
Of course.
And then got some money stacked, rented a place, got to a rental, and then, you know, but built that place, maybe saw, you know, put our name on that list, you know, maybe 10 people, you know, called and came by, and the 10 people turned to 20 people the next week, and then 20 people would turn to 40 people the next week. Wow. And and within like 2 years, we were seeing an average of like, I would say 350 to 400 a day. And the product, you know, at first we didn't even sell Kush, because we were in LA and we brought all these NorCal flavors, you know, like the Granddaddies, and the Afgoos and the Sweet Twos, and train wrecks and blah, blah, blah. But we went down to LA, and the Kush started like becoming popular, and you'd have all these LA kids be like, oh, your shop's the best. You guys got all the flavors, but you know what? You don't have the Kush. Yeah. And so we started like trying to get the Kush. These guys wanted like 6,000 a pound, and like we couldn't do. We're from the Bay. Yeah. 60 an eighth. Yeah. Like 70 an eighth. Yeah. What? Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
Because these other shops were selling 35 a gram for OG, and they'd have like 12 OGs. We eventually got a good price on one, and we had it, I think, for 65. Yeah. Because we were trying to be compassionate as much as possible. We had a lot of sick patients, and then we named it the $100 OG, because everyone else was selling, you know, 30 gram or whatever. So, and that name still sticks. You'll still go to LA. You'll still see cuts of LA of OG called the $100 OG. That was definitely from that shop. Time? And that was a joke that people were charging 100. We'll only charge you, you know, 60.
That's funny.
Yeah, 65.
So those days, like first grinding it out, did you have any idea if it was going to work or not? Or you guys were just like,
no, but praying? We're so passionate. Just really like, you know, just love the plant so much, you know, just am baffled by its how
Being
it's
illegal,
illegal,
yeah.
and the stigma, and it's a real civil rights type thing for me. Trying to be fair, and how dare alcohol, how dare nicotine, how dare parents, how dare all these people make us feel bad for this
Absolutely.
cannabis plant when it's so much safer. It's
agree.
so hypocritical. It's crazy. So that's like that's my mission.
Yeah.
And my mission now is to literally do this. While some people might say I'm like a sellout to the underground, I'm not
Yeah.
on the hill anymore growing and all that stuff. At the end of the day, I want to see the plant treated in the right way. I want to see it destigmatized to the point where if you're going to buy booze and tobacco
Yeah.
and all this shit in the airport, I'm going to stay until we can buy cannabis.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can't take it to Saudi Arabia or to some of these other countries, but maybe to Europe or to Canada, or they'll start allowing,
Yeah.
just like they do with booze, a limit,
Absolutely.
a limit,
Certain
and
amount.
whatnot. But
Speaking of that, I know I've seen you in other countries. What has the climate been like in other countries when you go?
when I go to the other countries, it's mostly to because we're expanding throughout America. We just launched in Canada.
Okay.
So the vision would be obviously to, let's talk about Sluggers, for example.
For sure.
Selling, sending Sluggers legally that are made in Canada, because that's kind of the mechanism right now, to Europe. But medical doesn't allow that. It's really only bulk flour or flour and maybe oil, some countries and whatnot. But there's no mechanism for manufacture because it's not recreational. These products are very potent and whatnot. So when I go to these other countries, it's mostly to just check things out, be a part of the vibe. But, we have to be real. Like, people come to California to visit as tourists and taste things in California, and they maybe bring a pack home or do whatever they do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I get messages from everywhere in the world, crazy places. And I just want to go meet the people and support them. And,
absolutely.
Shake hands and give hugs, and
for sure.
Thank them. And, there's a lot of other brands and, products out there in the world. And I'm just honored and humbled that, that they like us and resonate with what we created, because we're just a small group of people that created something that we really believed in, and it's the ultimate pat on the back that people enjoy it.
It's a trip for me because I'm from New York, and coming from New York, I definitely heard of Sluggers before I moved here. So to think of like a Sluggers, I just figured you guys were like Walmart, and now to meet the people behind it, I'm like, holy shit, these are just everyday people who had a dream and believed in it and just did it.
Yeah.
But being from New York, it always just seemed impossible. Cannabis just seemed impossible. It was always illegal. I looked into how to open up a shop there right when it was becoming legal, and it was like you had to have millions of dollars because you had to get a facility and security and everything planned out before you even put it into motion.
For sure.
So I kind of just counted it out. I'm like, damn, I'm never going to be able to get into cannabis.
Well, I mean, think of New York, Washington Square Park. You'd used to Google where to find weed in New York, and there'd be some Rastas in Washington Square Park that would either be cops or whatever. You'd either get the weed or get arrested.
Yep.
And now look what happens every 420
Crazy.
in Washington Square Park, right?
It's like a sesh.
Yeah, we used to go in 1998. I left California and went to Boston University, and a lot of my friends were from the city or from Jersey and whatnot, and they were telling me about this weed called the Diesel. And it came in a little. We would get 2.5 grams for $50 in a little plastic little square thing. And they were telling me about this, delivery services. There's one Cartoon Network. There were a couple of them. Yeah. That's Half Baked. The movie Half Baked was right on point. Yep. That kind of showed the world what was happening in New York City. Yeah. New York specifically, but Sluggers was created. A lot us that kind of helped create it. We're early 1980s babies. Okay. And we grew up with a lot of us played baseball, collected baseball cards, and we knew first and foremost for Sluggers, we were going to create a lot of products, but we wanted to first take part in this infused pre-roll segment of the industry that was growing like crazy. Brands like Jeter, Stizzy, there's other guys that are killing it, did a great job. We wanted to build something similar, and just something we thought would be a better smoking experience, and just the packaging was just really a way of us kind of giving a little tipping the hat to the 80s and to like, you know, baseball cards always came in like a wax pack with like a piece of gum.
Yep.
And then there was this one brand called Upper Deck that came out.
I remember.
I think it was like either 89 or 90, maybe 91. Ken Griffey Jr. rookie was in that one.
Okay.
But it was the first foil pack. And we were talking about form factors. How are these joints going to come?
Yeah.
And that was it.
The
like
foil pack.
we wanted it to make someone feel like they were opening that first pack of cards. And that style of, you know, Mylar, shiny Mylar pack evolved to like Magic and Pokemon, and so it can kind of like it
Feel familiar.
right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the real, you know, the real reason we kind of have that look with the 5-pack. And the 5-pack is really our
That's
bread
your
and
staple?
butter. That's our bread and butter.
For sure, for sure. I've definitely seen the 5-pack before. That's where I knew you guys from. So, but it's super interesting to see, like, how did, where did Sluggers come from? You know, where did, obviously you said you were doing the collective for a while. Where did the idea for Sluggers come from?
So Sluggers came, you know, here at Natura, the team built a crazy facility. It's an ecosystem.
This place is wild.
And we produce a lot of products. We have capabilities, you know, over 6,000 pounds a month.
Okay.
And then on the manufacturing side, we do joints, we do vapes. You know, we have a full kitchen. We pretty much do anything here except for baked goods. No cookies, no brownies, and we don't do drinks.
Okay.
No ready, like we can do like little shots and stuff. So we built this, like, you know, quote unquote, you know, contract manufacturing, you know, type facility, and we started bringing in a lot of brands, and either a lot of brands either went out of business or it was a one-off or whatnot, but it wasn't sustainable to really depend on others.
Yeah.
So we wanted to create our own brand.
There you go.
Burner is a close friend of mine for a long time. Originally, we were going to do Sluggers together. He actually coined the name Sluggers.
Okay.
It wasn't Sluggers Hit, it was just Sluggers. And then for whatever reasons, you know, we decided to do it on our own. Cookies had a lot going on.
Sure.
And, you know, that's why when people see Sluggers, we still collaborate with Cookies a lot, because to you know, give
It's your
love back
roots.
to the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's, we like to reciprocate, you know, and we never forget, right?
Absolutely.
And, so Burn coined the name, but we kind of, myself, there's a guy, Seth, Barry, Ori, and then we had some other guys on the like manufacturing, like the packaging side.
Okay.
Really built it with, like, you know, creatives and designers and stuff like that.
For sure.
And
Definitely
then
very creative with the characters, and then, like you said, even like the baseball theme. You have the cards inside there too.
Yeah,
With the strings
we wanted
on
to
it.
create something kind of collectible and
Very
fun,
cool.
and that's going to continue to evolve. We have a lot of cool ideas and plans in the way, and, you know, we just launched Sluggers.com. We also do hemp products, but they're not. The hemp products don't come from Sacramento, from California.
Okay.
We co-man them in other states where it's legal, and the product, you know, the 5-pack, for example, is not the same. It's very good, but it's not the same 5-pack as California. It doesn't have solventless hash. It's more just flower diamonds.
Okay.
And whatnot. But at the end of the day, what is Sluggers? Sluggers was created to be literally torn apart. What I mean by that is, you know, the pre-roll segment of the industry, going back to when I first started seeing it, like even in the hemp CBD space, you know, a long time ago, you know, there were people like scrutinizing them and ripping them open and being like, whoa, there's like seeds and sticks and ooh. Like,
Well,
what?
that was the stigma, like with the
Yeah.
Jeters. They're like, oh, they're cool, they get you high, but it's shit. They put shit in them. You know, that's all I ever heard.
Yeah. It's the way I like to, the analogy I like to make is like similar to like a high end, like, you know, when you go into a supermarket, right, and you go to the sausage section, right, there's some cheap sausages and there's some really expensive sausages, or just better quality. Usually better quality for me, less ingredients you can kind of pronounce, right?
For sure.
But if you cut it open with a knife, this is what it all comes down to, because we made Sluggers to be sliced with a knife.
Okay.
You slice down that sausage, you open it up, you buy the chicken apple, you see pieces of apple. You see pieces of real chicken.
Yeah.
It's not like pureed, mashed stuff, maybe like broomed up, right? That's what we wanted. We wanted Sluggers to be for the person that might even be able to roll their own joint, but they don't want to like put put in the extra efforts of doing, but wanted to be appreciated by smokers, by people that know how to even roll joints, not necessarily someone that can't roll a joint or just needs the ease of access. And at the end of the day, for someone to rip open and be like, wow, these guys are really putting bud, green bud, and hash and whatever, inside. And that's pure. It's just.
And was that always the vision? You guys just like, all right, we're going to make a infused pre-roll, and that's going to be our shot. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. And it worked right away.
And it has to be, we're a big it took time.
Okay.
It took time. It takes time.
Of course.
But we're a big factory, so we can scale.
Of course.
So has to be something scalable.
Yeah.
Right? So because, we want to do numbers, but you don't want to do too many, right? You don't want to do batches so big that it gets, it's a tricky... to do a forecast and to like know what to make and to sell, it's
tough game.
It's a tough game.
Any crazy stories that stick out in your mind, maybe from before Slugger days, maybe back in the shop days?
A lot of stories.
Yeah.
Everything you can think of has happened.
Okay.
I just posted a picture yesterday from like a raid.
That's actually what I wanted to ask you.
Me and my boy Dennis sent it to me. It was Halloween 2006. I dressed up like the DEA with him as a joke because, we had our collective, and at that time, you would go into these collective, or ours at least, and there was a receptionist. You couldn't see the room where any of the product was. Okay. You had to present paperwork and to get back there. And so it was like going to a doctor's office. And, this one guy comes in, and he's like, dressed all dirty and like kind of schlumpy or whatever, and he goes up to the receptionist and he's like, "Hey, I'd like to come in and get some stuff." She's like, "Okay, can you please give me your doctor note?" And then he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "The letter of recommendation." And then all of a sudden, and we had security, armed security. One guy looked like a cop. One guy right at the door, let him in, and then one in the back where the product was. And a radio went off in this guy's pocket. Like, they're asking for a letter of recommendation. And my security guard heard it. Yeah. And so did the reception girl. And the security guard looks at him and is like, "What is that who is that? Yeah. What's in your pocket?" And the guy's like, "Nothing." The guy's like, "Sir," he started like grabbing his gun. He's like, "Show me what's in your pocket." And the guy was like, "Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me." Like that. Yeah. And then they weren't even touching him. That was the code for the DEA to come kick in the front door. At that time in the shop, I wasn't there. I was eating lunch somewhere far away. I was in like Beverly Hills, somewhere like on the other side of town. Okay. And we had some of our sickest patients ill, like one woman with lupus in there. Like, jeez. We had really ill patients. They threw everyone on the ground. We had signage that said audio and video surveillance, so they were like scared we were like recording them. They took everything in the shop. They tried to crack our safes, but there's a advocacy group called Americans for Safe Access. They were really relevant a long time ago. Okay. And we were paying them monthly to back us up and like help us with government, local government, national, state government, and for situations like this, any raids. So they assembled this crazy team because we were like a big thing at that time, and they wouldn't allow, because these guys tried to have the safes cracked, and like they called the safe cracker crew. They tried to come crack, and then everyone like was shaking the van, like wouldn't let these guys out of the van when they came, so they were scared for their lives. They turned away. The DEA were there for like 10 hours. No one got arrested.
Thank God.
No one. They took everything. They leave you a receipt. They
we were here.
They seize this unknown amount of U.S. currency. But that was that was my first.
That sounds pretty wild.
And so they were doing this regularly around then. This was like during the Bush years. John Ashcroft was running policy, and they were sending like landlords letters. Hey, you guys are renting to the illegal businesses. We can seize your property. It was really tough. Yeah. But yeah, that was crazy.
So that's back in the day. Anything happened like crazy ever since you've been here and just in operations?
Nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy like that. Just everything has gotten a little bit more normal and whatnot. There's just a lot of theft and robbery. Thank God, not us.
Thank
we have
God.
had one at the beginning here, but we had to beef up our security big time.
For sure.
When we first started, we didn't have that external gate.
like Fort
and all
Knox
that
out
stuff.
there.
Yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. So we got hit at the beginning, but sadly, Sacramento and a lot of areas, there's guys like pirates on the street that are literally watching for cars, and they'll follow you and take your stuff. And,
That's crazy.
so that's kind of the craziest, and crazy in a good way. We had a U.S. senator here. We hosted Cory Booker.
Okay.
Who's a very big senator on the Democratic side. And last year, before Trump took office, they were all here. We showed them around. So for me, telling that story about the DEA, right, and then having a U.S. senator come through, that is the affirmation.
That's
and
a trip.
The full circle moment. That was really a part of it, because it's like something that I was considered, a criminal in a sense back then, and now here we are
getting recognition,
right? And that's what it's all about.
That's it.
That's what it's all about.
That's it. And I heard you mention outside that if it ever does decide to go fully federally legal, you're ready to go.
Natura, so Ori, our founder, he's, and Craig, our co-founder and COO and CFO, he's doing a lot.
Okay.
They really built something that can last. When I used to give tours at the beginning, I would say, this is something that my daughter is 14 now, but maybe when she's 21, this will still be here.
For sure.
And the facility itself was built out to spec GM, like almost GMP, EU, GACP. Like the place is ready. If California ever gets the ability, similar to Canada, to produce, first and foremost to get it to other states, right? But
Absolutely.
like to get elsewhere, we're pretty close to getting, we could get certified relatively easy. We don't need to do too many upgrades to the facility. I'm sure there's some, but we're ready. This place is is built to last a long time. And yeah, that's like obviously the vision is that, eventually we'd be able to, make our products here and ship them to other states.
Everywhere. For sure. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because we actually just had a guest on who was speaking about exactly that. They were doing something from Canada because now that's a thing where you can ship from Canada. But their lawyer warned them that somebody was doing a similar thing or the same thing, and they left the country and went to come back in, and they didn't let them back in, and they said that they were doing like international drug smuggling. So I was like, what the fuck? Like
that's still in Canada?
Technically,
Or
like
here?
they didn't let them back into America because they were doing it through Canada.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like the thing, right? Like with immigration policies, right? Like even, for example, I go to Canada, we're launching Sluggers, and I went to an event last month in Canada, the Kind Fair in Toronto.
Okay.
And when you arrive into Canada, and the same goes for America if you're going to MJ Biz, you can't tell the immigration officer
You're there for cannabis.
right?
Yeah.
Like they might not let you in.
Crazy.
Same. Like I wouldn't advise people coming unfortunately for MJ Biz or other cannabis events in America to say I'm here for a cannabis event.
Absolutely.
Like, we have stories going back. People we'd have properties in the hills and people would come in for trimming and stuff like that. And my friend's brother from Italy is coming and what are you here for? Because they think it's illegal. Oh, I'm here for the medical marijuana, the trim in the hills. Oh, really? Oh, well, get the hell out. Boom, you're going home.
That's
so
funny.
there's a lot of that, and it's really case by case with immigration. But immigration, unfortunately, with the whole cannabis, it's another part of the stigma.
Absolutely.
You could say you're here for pharma or for alcohol and nicotine.
Who was it? I was talking to somebody, but they said they were actually coming for MJ BizCon from another country, and their layover was in Texas. And they were like, oh, what are you guys traveling for? And they're like, oh, we're here for MJ BizCon, blah, blah. And they denied their visas, and that 100%. Was it. They were sent back, and they were like, nope, sorry. And I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. But if it was any other state, they probably would have been fine. But since it was Texas, they were like, get the fuck out.
Exactly. And we were in Germany this last summer, and we do Mary Jane Festival. It's probably one of the biggest cultural cannabis things.
Why don't you talk about that a little bit? I heard great things. Yeah.
But I'll go into it. But you could tell the immigration person in the airport when they're asking, why are you here in Berlin? I'm here for a hemp cannabis fair called Mary Jane. Okay, right? And that's whack, that we have to play these caca games over here, right? Yeah. But Mary Jane, much like Spanibus before it, which is a little sad to me because it's always been in Barcelona. I've been going since 2019.
Okay.
And they're just they're relocating this year to Bilbao, which is Basque country. It's not Barcelona. Gotcha. It's a different vibe. You don't have social clubs. It was no one ever knows 100%, but they said that the venue is getting demolished and repurposed or just kind of, and they couldn't find another place. Okay. Spain is also another situation. It's not legal. It's tolerated. Okay. So it's it's not like Germany. Germany's legal. Gotcha. So that's kind of shitty. I don't know if I'm going to go to Bilbao this year. Like part of it was always Barcelona and the vibe. But Mary Jane, it's been going on. I've only gone to the last two, but I think it's been like 5 years, 6 years. It's gotten, bigger and bigger, and it just grew into something crazy. I think they had over 60,000 people. It's 3 days, 60,000 people every day. Holy shit. And you had everyone there from all over the world. And once again, it's just, the Germans, they come to America, they come to dispensaries, they smoke sluggers, the rappers are doing the music videos and stuff like that. And really just wanting to go and connect with the people out there. Obviously the Germans, but also the Europeans. For me, it's another full circle moment. I'm Jewish. Okay. My family, look what Germany did to my people. Absolutely crazy. And the fact that, we can go back and
now celebrate something positive.
Celebrate something positive. For sure. And, like Germans, it's not the same Germany. Definitely not. And I really love all my German friends and family over there, and it's just awesome the energy. That's dope. And they're very passionate. Yeah. If you took the whole EU, there's a lot of smoking going on all over the EU and whatnot, in Britain and all that. But, Germany, I like to say, especially Berlin, is almost like the New York City of the EU as far as like consumption per capita. Okay. Like so the people are just smoking on the street. There's a lot of consumption. Yeah. And they just smoke a lot. Interesting. And that's important.
Who would have thought though? Spain, like people are just smoking it.
Yeah. Spain. So Spain, I always resonated with for multiple reasons. But when I was 20, I went to, I only lasted in Boston 2 years, came back to Santa Barbara, and we did this summer program in Malaga, which is like basically the southern coast. They call it the Costa del Sol in Spain. And when you look and you go to the beach, and you look in the distance across the ocean, you see Morocco. Okay. So there's even like science that says like the pollen from the plants sometimes even goes to Spain, and obviously the go fast boats and all these people are bringing hash to Europe. So that region, that southern part of Spain is like super, like has been like the biggest hash consumers forever. Interesting. It's huge. So we were getting €2 a gram hash, in 2000, 2001. Beautiful Moroccan hash that was like in a little egg thing that they call culeros because a lot of the guys are swallowing and pooping them out. That's right? Crazy. Like stuff like that. But so Spain has because of the proximity to Morocco, huge hash culture. Okay. Huge. The flower was not as prevalent. Now it's, more and more. And then obviously rosin now is, Spain has been a big thing. And, when we went to the first, when I went to my first Spanibus, and I got to meet some of these guys over there, and, namely my brother Lorenzo, who I'm lucky, I'll see him again. I think he's going to be at PuffCon this weekend. Okay. Terps Army. He had a little little place, social club called Terps Army. Still has it. I think it moved. And they were rolling these. They call them donuts, but they were putting a whole, half gram to a gram. We were always calling them shrimp veins because we were putting like a little shrimp vein of hash, and it wasn't in the middle. It was kind of like on the bottom, but. That was like where we first, and like a lot of that from what I heard was the celebration of all these guys landing flower, landing rosin, and creating this like superstar joint to celebrate. Okay. And that's kind of like the birthplace of the donut and I was there on that first trip with Fidel. We
about
all
to
met
say.
Lorenzo the first time.
Crazy.
And the brothers and Aram and Sir and. I remember, Fidel, like, he was already rolling fat joints, but like really seeing like this new tech of like the donut, and that spawned the hash hole, and that's how when he kind of took it to the next level, and he came here with us, and we did a little stint here together. We still do some products together, but he's one of my closest friends. And Spain's just Spain's a very important, probably one of the most important cannabis countries in the European area.
Awesome, that's good to know. I definitely want to go check it out. I told one of my friends I was gonna go out there. She's like, "Don't go." I was like, "Why not?" She's like, "It's so dangerous." Is that true?
Unfortunately, yeah. There's a lot of, it's like, especially Barcelona. I mean, it's mostly in the cities. When I say dangerous, a lot of street theft, a lot of drug addicts robbing for chains, for phones. I know so many people that have like been talking on their iPhone and it gets ripped out of their hand. A lot of that comes from cruise ships also go there. It's a port of call for a lot of cruises.
Gotcha.
So you have all these people, and they wear like a necklace like from the cruise.
I'm on a cruise.
And they like see them walking, and they're like easy. My mom got pickpocketed in Barcelona.
Damn.
Her wallet taken just last summer. So it's definitely, if you rank places in the world, versus like Bangkok.
Yeah.
Never
Really?
can wear your watch and necklace like money. I would in Thailand. I've never, maybe one time in like a dark alley on an island, a motorbike pulled up next to my cousin and took her purse, but very rare. Like, feel very comfortable wearing anything, anytime.
Okay.
Spain, I would never wear jewelry or anything valuable, bring anything valuable on the street.
Good to know.
Mostly Barcelona. Malaga, I never experienced any. The
Okay.
South, I never.
That's what I said. I was like, I'm gonna go to Barcelona. She's like, "Don't go." I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of good people lost a lot of good things.
Interesting. And now, obviously, you brought it up with Fidel. You do a lot of collaborations. How do you go about choosing your collaborations?
A lot of it's organic.
Okay.
A lot of it's organic, for Sluggers, it's, a lot of them are my friends. We've done Dub's Garden, which is Frank and Cosmo. Cosmo I've known since 1996.
Wow.
Just from smoking.
Yeah.
Like, he was friends with a friend that I went on a trip to, a 16-year-old trip to Israel, came back, and, there were only a few of us smoking weed on this trip, and we stuck together, and I'd go visit him up in Marin County, and he had this friend Cosmo, so we did a Dub's Garden collab.
There
and
you
then,
go.
Obviously Burn. And Champelli, I was living in Santa Barbara in 99, and my roommate was bringing down, there were some strains from Marin, and one of them was called the Glue, no relation to Gorilla Glue. It was just
Okay.
like gluey, like sticky. And the other one was called the Pelly. And the Pelly was basically a rename of this strain that was popular in the Bay Area. Came from Canada originally, possibly, called the Champagne.
Okay.
But like Mac Dre was getting it to all these guys, and like they called it the Pelly, and he was like the guy, so Champelli. And
Gotcha.
And so I heard his name and smoked the Pelly, and then Cosmo brought him here, met him, became amazing friends. He's one of my closest friends now.
Dope.
Did a collab.
Shout out to Champelli.
Yeah, Juan, Backpack Boys, good friend from the space. We've done work here together. Came with me to Thailand. We did an amazing. Pelly was on that. A bunch of us. We did a trip in Thailand. Ryan Doja was there. We did a gummy collab with Ryan
There you
Doja. Just like a lot. So a lot that it has to be organic.
For sure.
It has to be like someone that's like down to like do it. And it's not like it doesn't hurt them or hurt their brand or whatnot. But it's really just fun.
Good.
And we're not really chasing them so much. More.
You guys want to
letting
do
it,
this.
yeah, letting it fall into place. And
For sure.
Got some cool ones coming up. We got we just did one with Squints that drops, I think, tomorrow.
Okay.
In California, Squints, Chauncey was like one of the guys in Sandlot. A lot of us grew up with that.
Yep.
That collab just felt right.
For sure.
With the brand and whatnot. We got Connected coming up. We got a lot of cool things in the works. And then now that we're launching new states and new places, we're expanding the collabs in other places. In New York's going to be fun. We're kind of figuring out who we're going to do work with in New York.
Anyone you're eyeing specifically in New York?
There's a couple brands. Like, we're gonna do one with our one of our partners. We work with a group called HPI. Their brand Dank is like probably one of the biggest brands in New York.
Huge in New York right now.
So that's gonna be our first. It just makes sense because the same team that moves Sluggers moves Dank.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to talk about the other ones because I have some really.
That
And
works.
I want to lock them in first. But New York, you got some good opportunities.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be making it for the Hall of Flowers, but I wish I could. I think it's going to be a great event, even though, like you said, Santa Rosa was a little light, but I think that's just because a lot of people will be in New York, you know?
Yeah, that's not in everyone's budget right now in the cannabis space in California to get a crew to Santa Rosa for a trade show. Unfortunately, you know, there's been a lot more flowing funds in the past years where it was a little easier. Now everyone's really grinding, really trying to spend money in the right ways, right places, and you know, network show I heard was amazing, and a lot of that, you know, for many reasons. There's many reasons why, you know, it was packed and whatnot, but a lot of it is, you know, there's a lot of people in LA, and people didn't have to necessarily get hotels as much and whatnot, and people are just really grinding right now. You have to grind. You can't be stupid with money.
Definitely not. Speaking of that, where do you see Sluggers in the next, say, 5-10 years down the line?
Great question. 5, 10, well, 10. Fuck. It's
you
hopefully some of these places, like, you know, some of these places that are medical only evolve into recreational. That'll help us out because Sluggers is a really, like Sluggers specifically, the 5-pack. I always go back to the 5-pack because we have vapes and we have other things, but that 5-pack is what we're like known for.
For sure.
With the THCA and with the hash, we're always high potency. It's not the easiest, you know, and there's also the supply chain. To find a partner that grows flower, that makes hash, that makes THCA, that has keef, that, you know, makes distillate, all this stuff, it's not difficult, or it's not easy. And then if they have to buy, if they can produce maybe the flower, but they have to buy, it throws the numbers off. So
For sure.
At the end of the day, we really usually need a vertical partner that has like everything. But ideally, we're expanded to the right states. We're, you know, growing the business in the states that we're in. We want to keep adding, you know, states that make sense.
Of course.
And then, you know, Canada, we're hoping to be, you know, really big in Canada. And the goal would be to, like any emerging market, you know, we're working on the Sluggers Medical right now because we have to.
Okay.
It's not the 5-pack, it's the flower, it's the vapes, but we're working on getting things made in Canada and, you know, taken around the world. It's a very sterile package. It maybe has a logo on a white background. It's not the branded.
So it's more like medicinal.
Yeah, it's 100% medicinal. The recreational tide has not hit the world yet.
Gotcha.
You know, and the whole exportation of flower and cannabis products from legal country to legal country is usually overseen by the UN and like the drug quota, and the UN needs to know everything about, doesn't matter if it's legal or illegal, they need to know about everything, and there's specific quotas, and it goes all the way down to like, because how the stuff goes on airplanes, goes on, you know, SGS containers have to get surveyed and certified. A lot of these things are very, you know, commercial and not for recreational products. But at the end of the day, you can export booze, you can export, you know, a lot of these things. So we just have to like break the barriers to get it to the point where we're treated the same as you know, these nicotine products, these alcohol products, these tobacco products, you know, and all that stuff to be properly, you know, exported or just made like we make them.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with like federal rescheduling or federal legalization, that's what they were talking about. Cause I was kind of unclear, like, okay, what happens if it goes to a Schedule 3? Like you just said, a lot of the stuff here that we see will just stay the same because it's not going to be at that medical level.
No.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that.
The banking is really the big one.
Exactly. The
280E,
tax exemption, stuff like that.
We can't, like, we're the only industry pretty much that can't write off taxes.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and in a certain way. And it's just, at the end of the day, treated like a second-class citizen.
For sure.
You know, and we're like, it's not easy to be in the cannabis space. And they make it freaking hard.
They make shit up, too. You know, like, I think, I forget which state we reported in, but they just raised the taxes by, like, 24% to fix the roads. And it's like, what other industries are they doing that? Like, oh, we need to fix roads, alcohol. You know, let's talk to you guys. Like, that's
well,
now
they're start looking at California how we had to come back, and like, hey, it didn't work there. And like, they actually almost at the point of extinct. A lot of these guys are going extinct.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's the sad part. Because like a lot of these, a lot of people don't know it much more. They've been doing this for generations.
Yeah.
Like, and they can't really participate, and it sucks.
It's a shame.
It's a shame because there's so much passion there. You know what I mean? But the business evolves. It does. It's turning into like a real business that requires good business acumen, thin margins, pivot, be able to pivot left and right.
Yeah. You got to be super flexible
on the
these
dime.
days. Yeah.
And to be able to handle the stress and just all the compliance, it's crazy.
It is. It's a lot, and they don't make it easy. So props to anyone that is able to stay afloat.
Yeah, shout out to everyone in the space, no matter what you're doing, no matter what part of the space, for just keeping the ball rolling.
That's it.
And it's the passion. At the end of the day, we all know that we're in something for the right reason. It's a positive plant. It has so much good for the world. It could change the world. It is changing the world, but we just got to keep driving it forward.
And you know what's crazy? Because like you said, it is very stigmatized. So me growing up, I had to hide it from my mom. I even hid it like going out, just because it's not the first thing you see. You meet a lady, you're not like, hey, I smoke weed, But now it's like, fuck it, yeah, I smoke weed. If you don't like it, It is what it is.
Yeah, because you don't want her to look
exactly.
down on
you. Yeah. But even like taking that stigma and bringing it to a point where like now I'm putting my face behind it, and now like I kind of made a choice, That's it. I'm behind it. But I didn't care because I believe in it and I am passionate about it. So I'm like, you know what? I came out here for music and podcasting. Never in a million years did I think that me being a pothead and loving weed would be a catalyst for my creative career. But it only made sense because anything I've ever done with music or podcasting has been linked to marijuana in a sense of we were getting high before it and coming up with what we wanted to talk about, or we're in the studio creating and we're getting high. So it kind of just all came together, and my mom kept giving me shit when I first came out here. She's like, oh, what are you doing? You got to get into cannabis. Like, this is your dream, And I kind of just said, like, I don't know. What the fuck am I going to do? You want me to go be a bud tender? Like, you want me to go deliver it? And I tried. But coming from not that background, it was super hard to get into cannabis. Yeah. So I was applying left and right. I was not getting any calls. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I fucking own my own business. I was a manager. Like, what more do you need? Yeah, that's why I was like, damn. So it's just really cool to come out here and just, do this. And this is what I love. And I love cannabis. And now being able to talk to people like you and learn, like, it's just a trip, man, And it's all because of the plant.
Right.
So shout out to the plant.
Good job. Because shout out to you, too. You've had some great people on your...
Appreciate that.
You're really on your show, and you're getting out. You're not staying home. You're out.
Definitely
you're active, right?
We're doing our best.
That's the name of the game right now. Just consistency and quality and perseverance and just like passion.
That's it. And you can't hide that shit. People will know if you're not passionate about it.
Of course.
Speaking of events, I know you're big on events. We went out. We had the pleasure of being at the Hash Holes and Donuts over in Burbank. Yeah. Great fucking event, by the way.
Thank you.
Man, what's your inspiration and what do you have coming up in the next 6 to 12 months?
So inspiration for events, probably, my mom. My mom was, I come from a restaurant family. My parents had restaurants. My mom was the front of the house, or the hostess, or, my dad was always the chef in the back of the house.
Okay.
Very hospitable. My mom knew all of her customers, their favorite wine, their kids' names. When you come to my mom's house, you get a gift. My mom, goes to your house, you get a gift.
Okay.
That's just my mom. She's
very cool.
One of a kind. Shout out to Marilyn. So, I grew up, into events, concert, all that, in the community, right? I grew up in the community, building communities in the cannabis community and building the cannabis community. In 2022, I told you I'd gone to all these cups and all that. 2022, there was COVID and whatnot before, and we went back to Spain. And Fidel and I knew that we wanted to do something. We wanted to get people together. So the Cookies Barcelona Social Club, shout out to Kieran, shout out to Jack and Panny and all those guys. They let us do our first one, Hash Holes and Donuts, and we, had like 250, 300 people, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
Great. And it, seeing the people, Aryan from and Yoa from the greenhouse, and Mila, and from pollinator and isolator bags, who she was like, when I used to go to Amsterdam when I was 20, 21, 22, she had a hotel. She's like, they call her the hash queen.
Okay.
She's a legend. And she had this little hemp hotel that, like, you had the Moroccan room, like the Afghan room, like the Nepali room. And each room was like in a different country style, but all from hash.
Okay.
Right. And she had the long bar, like where in a normal hotel, or, people have all the booze, but it was all people rolling up.
I like it.
All the hash makers were coming at night. There were all these Europeans that were in the Netherlands, making isolator, making hash and taking it, selling it and doing stuff. So like all those people from my back, and like the greenhouse guys, like that first cup in Amsterdam, like they were on the cover. They were on every High Times cover,
crazy.
Creating strains. And like, we were all looking up to them, and just to be like kind of, so that kind of spawned like the want to do these like community style events.
Okay.
And now that we're more above ground and whatnot, we're probably like, we wanted to be as safe as possible.
For sure.
They're getting harder and harder.
Why is that?
Just because, especially the economy and stuff like that, and there's so many events, they kind of get watered down sometimes. So it has to make sense.
Yeah.
As far as the next events, don't have too much like planned right now.
Okay.
Just really kind of waiting, doing, trying to do like we're doing New York events at the end of the month. Really trying to do events like we're going to launch, end of the month of October, we're in New York. November, more in Canada. December, we should be in Maryland.
Okay.
So gonna be, in all these markets. Arizona, we launched, so we're gonna be doing more events in Arizona, Massachusetts. At the end of the day, gonna be focusing more on enhancing the markets that we're in.
Okay.
And less on the underground.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And now, just speaking of marketing for a second, because I know in the cannabis industry it could be very hard, but you guys have billboards and shit. So how does that work out for you guys?
The billboards are usually collaborative with retailers.
Okay.
And the retailers will come to you and say, hey, we have this billboard opportunity, and but they don't want to put up the money, and the mechanism is to kind of like take money from the product and credits and whatnot. So we're down.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Billboards work, man.
Yeah,
like in my opinion,
work.
yeah.
Billboards
especially where they're placed. Like, I live in Hollywood, bro, and I seen that Sluggers billboard every time I go home.
Yeah.
It's
right there. There's one in San Diego with the Walgreens guys as well. And
so even if you don't know what it is, though, eventually you're gonna look it up. If you pass that shit every day, you're like, oh, what the fuck is that? Especially if you smoke weed, and you're like, all right, what the fuck is that? I gotta look that up.
Exactly. Yeah. No, marketing is important, and strategic marketing, and knowing when to put the gas on and let off the gas and whatnot. We're not so much like the guys that like want to be on every magazine or in the covers or do ads and whatnot. We want things you could like feel. Like we want to be in front of people. We want to give products. We want to let people try products. That's the most important thing, is the product.
I feel like what some people don't realize though too, it's like, okay, they do great marketing, they're online, this, that, and the other. The personal aspect. If you don't go out there and people don't see you and put a face to what you're doing, it can never really be that personal, But I think it's cool as shit to go to Hash Holes and Donuts and be able to meet Josh and be able to meet Fidel and the people behind it, or go to a Ted's Buds event and Ted's Buds is there, like you could touch them. That's a different kind of community building. And let's be honest, like there's a lot of products out there nowadays. So you have to build something that people are going to remember experience-wise.
Exactly.
So they can go home and be like, yo, I love this product because we were at that event that one time and they did this crazy-ass shit and I have their product now and I got to try it and now that's your product, you know?
You kind of see who you're supporting.
Exactly.
And, if you want to support them or not, if that's someone you can vibe with, and, everyone's money is hard work for and is important. And, anytime anyone spends even $1, like it means a lot that it's 100%. Coming to us. You can go to anyone else, and want to give everyone the best value and the best experience always, and make sure that they are satisfied and can recommend it to others. That's the ultimate, is that, you know, not only someone likes, and maybe sometimes someone tries something that's not for them, but maybe, you know, there's something for someone else, right? Because if you take a family, you know, that consumes cannabis and at different ages and different, you know, types of people, there's different products and different, not everyone likes the same thing, and not everyone has the same amount of money to spend and whatnot. So it's just important to like try. And, you know, luckily for us, on the manufactured product side, there's a lot more loyalty to manufactured products, in my opinion, than just like loose flower. Loose flower is the hardest to keep people locked into, because that you have so many choices.
Oh yeah, and for that it's always
it changes
the
batch
next
to batch.
best thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, we try to be consistent. You know, a lot of vapes, gummies, you know, pre-rolls. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah. What advice do you have to someone young, maybe just getting into the industry?
Well, you know, like, you know, mentality, right? Like, you know, when I was younger and I wanted to just make money and work, forget about cannabis. You know, my dad had the restaurants and whatnot. My dad, you know, didn't throw me in as like a busboy or something like that. He told me, yo, take these box of carrots and peel them. Take these green beans and cut off the ends and cut it like this, and, you know, do the prep work, right? Like, you know, the Japanese, right? You don't just become a sushi chef. You got to learn how to make rice sometimes for 8 years, 10 years, just to make rice.
Absolutely.
You know, and the guys that don't, you know, that mentality is almost lost in today's society, right?
Instant gratification.
Right? People just want to go to the top. They want to be the big dogs,
Yep.
right? I had poison oak for 7 months on the hill, like straight. I didn't have running water. I didn't have a toilet. I was growing weed in the hills with no money. My parents wouldn't give me a cent because they knew I was doing weed.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like this forever, right? But we grinded, did shit. Like, I don't know if people have it in them necessarily anymore.
It's true, man.
So the advice I would give people would be like, don't just try to be the big dog right off. Learn everything.
Yeah.
Learn how to peel the carrot. Learn how to do, you know, learn all the parts of the business. Find where you fit in the most.
Yeah.
And focus there.
Absolutely.
But keep an open mind, and really just try to have that mentality of starting from the bottom and working your way up. And if you are a big dog and you are amazing at what you do, be humble. Prove yourself by work.
Yeah.
Don't talk.
Exactly.
Do.
That's the biggest thing.
Talk is cheap.
Nowadays, people love to talk.
Talk.
They love to talk.
Yeah, and like, I just want to see people do and actually do what they say they're gonna do.
Absolutely.
And you know,
I don't mind talking as long as you're acting as well. I don't like to just hear talk.
No. So, you know, leading by example is important.
That's it.
Right, and just, you know, so yeah, it's not all peaches and cream, and be prepared for a bumpy road. And you don't just plant the seed and the bud grows and the bag of money comes.
Yeah.
It's not like that. You know, my mom used to think that it's easy money, you know, like that, but it's a lot of work now.
Oh, yeah.
And the parents have changed a lot since then. My parents are very amazing to me. Like, it took my mom is still not the biggest fan of the.
So your parents were against what you did for a while?
My dad's always been very supportive. They've always been supportive, but my mom definitely was not the line of work that she would have had me go into. Yeah. No, she was definitely, it was hard for her. You know, she's big in her circle with the friends. It's hard at those holiday parties.
Yeah.
Hey, what are your kids doing? Hey, what are your kids
100%.
doing? Oh, my kid's in LA with a dispensary getting guns to the head and DEA raids.
Oh my God.
Not the move. So
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll never forget, you know, after because there were home invasions, there were a lot of others.
Jesus.
Crazy. I could just the tip of the iceberg with this one story. And, you know, I'll never forget calling my dad, like, Dad, like, it happened again. They just fucking this and put guns to this guy's head, whatever. And he's like, you know what, Josh? You know, I might not be making the day-to-day money that you guys are making right now, and I'm only making sandwiches and whatnot, but I'm sleeping at night. And there's no one putting a gun to my head, and, like, you know, like, that really resonated with me, you know, and it's evolved. It's still, sadly, like, there's a lot of crazy people out there that are just stupid and just are playing stupid games and whatnot. And I'll never forget that you have to be safe and whatnot. But, you know, I'm a family guy. I like to put things out. I like to, on my social media, I share my kids. You know, some people are like, how could you share your kids? It's crazy. But, like, I can't like create this alter ego that's like only weed or business.
Of
and
course.
I keep it real. I keep it 100. I put everything. I wear my heart on my sleeve. You know, it's very hard for me to fake it.
For sure.
And I'm like, you know, family is everything. Family's first. You know, but you know, my family is very supportive, and I want others to have the same in their lives. I don't want other people to have family problems or, you know, family members that look down on them or judge them or whatnot because of their cannabis use or working in the cannabis space. So I just try to lead by example and try to, you know, be a good, you know, shine of light, ray of light for other people that are, you know, wanting to create a family or have a family, and you can still be a successful person in the cannabis space and have a great family. You know, my kids, 14-year-old, 11. I have a son, 27. My wife does food for here. She was here earlier. Tuesdays and Thursdays she brings does catering. My son, who's from my wife, but he's very much my son. He works in her fertigation and cultivation area.
Okay.
You know, so this is like a family. There's a lot of other families that work here, brothers, and my sister works. My sister does compliance.
Very
she's
cool.
Home with the baby. She had a baby, so she's doing remote work. But my sister works here. So we're like a family.
I was just gonna ask, how do you
family.
balance like having such a big company and your family life?
It's tough, you know, and I travel a lot. My wife's a rock star, you know, that's the main thing. My wife's an absolute rock star, and she has friends that support, and my parents are supportive, but the kids are strong. My 14-year-old daughter is a beast in a good way. She's so mature and such a good girl, and she, you know, she could be doing a little better in math right now, but we love her. and no, she's great, and she's always been very supportive of me. She's kind of like an earmuffs type.
Okay.
You know, at the beginning, she had to hear some people say her dad's a drug dealer and stuff like that, but she knows.
Yeah.
She doesn't let that get to her, and you know, now she's also heard the other side. Like, she was like shy to tell parents what her dad did, and then like, don't be ashamed. That's great.
Hell yeah.
And then they're asking for something on the side. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So you have both.
That's really
both
cool.
sides. You know,
That's really
but
cool.
it's. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if my dad owned Sluggers, I would say that with my chest. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Any last words before we do wrap up here? Anything that you want your fan base, your customers, your people to know about Sluggers?
No, just really appreciative, you know, like I'm really appreciative of everyone supporting us and showing love. And I'm here to just push the plant. I love what I do. I love the team here at Natura. We have over 400 employees.
Wow.
We're an ecosystem, a lot of amazing. I'm the guy that I'm in front of the cameras and going out, but there's a lot of people behind me.
For sure.
And
it takes a village.
Yeah, it takes a real village, and we have an amazing crew. I could go on forever about everyone, but without them, I'm nothing.
Of course.
And we're nothing. Sluggers is nothing. So just really going to be building the business, stabilizing the business, really praying and hoping California gets our shit together and, you know, everything kind of sorts its way out and whatnot. Obviously, shout out to all the states that we're expanding to, the countries we're expanding to. Really looking forward to building Sluggers into being a household name where everyone knows about it and kind of is informed about why we did it and what it's all about and whatnot. And hopefully everyone gets to taste it. But yeah, just super appreciative of everyone and very excited for what we have in our futures.
Absolutely. And that being said, shout out to my team as well, because this shit cannot be done without a team also.
No.
But yeah, we appreciate your time. Where can the people find you? Do you have a website? Do you have social media?
Yeah, social media. I'm KHUNJOSH 80 Kunjosh. It means Mr. in Thai, so I'm like Mr. Josh.
Okay.
Like if you go to Thailand, you know, you're Kun B-Gunz. You know what I mean? It's like Kun is like a proper way of saying sir or whatever.
Okay.
Kunjosh 80. That's on X and Facebook. I'm on all of them. Josh Schmidt. And then the website, we're natura.io, like Indian Ocean. We don't really go too deep on the web. We have sluggers.com.
Okay.
We have dmeansgood.com. D is our Thai inspired brand.
Okay.
That I created with my wife and the team here.
You want to speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, we created a fun brand. You know, at the time it was COVID. You know, I go to Thailand all the time. We couldn't go to Thailand.
Damn.
And we're like, wow, let's create, you know, and we saw all these gummies coming out. grape, blueberry, sour apple, and there's all these other flavors, these exotic flavors. So we wanted to kind of create this brand that was exotic, had flavors that were never used, and told a story of this was before weed was legal.
Okay.
In Thailand, there was no, right?
Interesting.
So it was kind of like a vision, right? And then ironically, things got crazy in Thailand, and I got to be a part of all that and whatnot. It's still going. But D was really my wife and I kind of coming up with like a catchy name that it means good in Thai. Just kind of really, and it was vegan, plant-based, solventless,
So it was
on the
good.
gummy side. It was good. And it's not something that we've grown to be the biggest, but it's a really high quality product. We're going to be, launching hopefully in Thailand we have smokable products as well, but it's just, that's like a pet project.
Very cool. I like it. Well, it's been a pleasure. I definitely learned about you and your brand today, and I'm sure if I learned, they learned as well. But that's it for today's episode.
Thank you.
You've been a pleasure. Thank you for having us here at your beautiful facility. We can't wait to see what you do in the other states and the other countries. We're a big fan of you guys. And if you haven't heard of Sluggers, go check them out. Go try them. And hey, I think you're going to be a fan. But we appreciate you, Josh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. We will see you next time.
I just had the bluest dream that you've ever seen, and I can't believe that shit was green, cause it hit so clean, and my history is a mystery. I don't give a fuck, I just hit the tree on the 5th degree. We don't pit for free. If you don't got vibes, you get up and leave.